All editing requires a mastery over the technique of pacing. A little faster here, a little slower there. And this variation in pacing is found in all genres. Action movies aren't fast all the time. They have plenty of slower moments as well. Likewise, dramas aren't only slow, lingering shots on longing expressions. They also contain sections of tighter cutting and quicker story delivery. Our greatest visual tool to help us understand pacing and timing is our timeline. We can see how many cuts there are, how long the shots are, how quickly new scenes are presented, and from a high-level view, we can gauge what our pacing is probably going to feel like. As you begin to get further into your journey as an editor, you'll start to be able to read a timeline instinctively, almost like reading sheet music, or a bunch of emojis. Yes, I will bring chicken for dinner. Or turkey. Is it chicken or turkey? I don't know. Famous filmmaker Alfred Hitchcock once said that drama is life with the dull bits cut out. You see, pacing is controlled not only by the speed of your cuts, but also by the rate at which story information is delivered to the viewer. And one way to control how quickly stories are told is to borrow the old writing adage of enter late and leave early, and then apply it to our edits. Let's take a look at an example of this from the film Minority Report. At the start of this scene, John brings Agatha to meet his wife, Laura. Once they meet in this shot here, the next cut brings us to a scene with John and Laura on the pier walking and talking. Of course, what we don't see between these two scenes is where Agatha went, or that John and Laura walked from the front of the house all the way out to the pier. We simply start right at this moment where John says,
Remember when I would read Tom Sawyer to you and Sean? He got so scared when Tom and Becky were lost in the cave. He says, I gotta sit down. Gotta figure this out. Gotta figure this out.
By skipping all that in-between stuff that you'd see in real life, we get right to the meat of the scene quickly and efficiently, which in this case are the important story details about John's memories of his son. So here's a tip. If you find yourself feeling like a section of your cut is dragging, try starting some scenes later or ending them earlier. Alright, so what are some of the key components that are going to help us determine what the pacing should actually be? How do you know when to speed things up versus slow them down? First is the director's style and the subsequent source footage that they've given you. The director of the film often infuses every aspect of it with their creative choices, from camera angles and camera movements to the speed at which the actors walk and talk. Let's look back at the camera work from Harry Potter and The Prisoner of Azkaban. The choice to move the cameras and the actors in this way came from the director. Technically, you can cut a scene in a variety of ways, but just remember that as an editor, you're working within the realm of their creative vision, and you'll need to respect that. Let's explore this idea by taking a look at the timelines from two dramatic scenes featuring Tom Cruise, in which the emotions are similar, but where they were edited in very different ways. First, let's look at Minority Report again. In this scene, which occurs immediately after the pier scene that we saw earlier, John and Laura listen to Agatha tell a story about their missing son. Take a look.
Dr. Hinneman once said the dead don't die. They look on and help. Remember that, John.
Agatha.
Sean. He's on the beach now. Toe in the water. He's asking you to come in with him. He's been racing his mother up and down the sand. There's so much love in this house. He's 10 years old. He's surrounded by animals. He wants to be a vet. You keep a rabbit for him, a bird, and a fox. He's in high school. He likes to run, like his father. He runs the 2-mile and the long relay. He's 23. He's at a university. He makes love to a pretty girl named Claire. He asks her to be his wife. He calls here and tells Laura, who cries. He still runs. Across the university and in the stadium where John watches. Oh, God, he's running so fast. Just like his daddy. He sees his daddy. He wants to run to him. But he's only 6 years old. And he can't do it. And the other man is so fast. There was so much love in this house.
I want him back so bad.
So did she. Can't you see? She just wanted her little girl back. But it was too late. Her little girl was already gone.
She's still alive.
She didn't die. But she's not alive.
Agatha. Just tell me. Who killed your mother? Who killed Anne Lively?
In this powerful and dramatic moment, we can count the number of cuts it takes to get through the scene. 1, 2, 3, and there are plenty more after that. We can see which shots prominently feature Agatha in close-up here, and we can see which shots are Lara's close-ups here. Lastly, we can chart which shots feature close-ups or medium shots of John, and then we can notice the balance of the shots in the scene. The way the actors are blocked allows us to sometimes see Agatha, John, and Lara together in the frame, and sometimes we only get a single shot of any given character. One scene, 3 actors, lots of cuts. Now, let's take a look at an entirely different movie, but a very similarly staged scene with the same number of actors. A word of caution before we play this scene, it does feature very R-rated language and themes, so if you're not okay with that, you can still get the same effect by muting the audio during the playback. In this scene from Magnolia, Tom Cruise is ushered into the room by his father's caretaker and approaches his dying father. This is Cruise's first time seeing him in many years. Let's watch.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go in. And, are the dogs in there?
Yeah, but they stay back by the window. They're far from
All
the
right, well, I
back.
want you to come in with me.
Okay.
And I want you to stay away from me.
Okay.
I want you there in case he needs anything because I am not gonna help him. And Phil, I will drop kick the fucking dogs if they come near me.
Okay.
Earl. You don't look that bad. You prick. Cocksucker, that's what we used to like to say, right? Cocksucker. What you are, you cocksucker, Earl. It hurts, doesn't it? Huh? You in a lot of pain? She was in a lot of pain. Right to the end, she was in a lot of pain. I know, because I was there, Earl. You didn't like illness, though, do you? I was there. She waited for your call. For you to come. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry for you. You cocksucker, I know you can hear me. I want you to know that I hate your fucking guts. You could just fucking die, you fuck. And I hope it hurts. I fucking hope it hurts.
One thing you may have noticed here, there are a lot less edits in this scene. In fact, there are so many less edits that I don't even need that many graphics to point them out. So here's your 2 arrows. Enjoy. Now, these films are both by different filmmakers. Minority Report was directed by Steven Spielberg, and Magnolia is directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. So one can only imagine what these scenes might have looked like if the roles had been reversed. While the pacing in each is deliberate, and it respects the filmmaker's creative choices and the needs of the scenes themselves, it's also important to remember that in both, the editor did have the ability to make plenty of their own pacing decisions. For example, we can assume that the editor had plenty of coverage of Agatha, John, and Lara to work with. Here are all the shots in the scene. So if the editor had chosen to hold the entire scene on Agatha's monologue, that would have been possible. Perhaps only ever cutting to John on one crucial occasion and then ignoring Lara in the background entirely. This would have made a slower paced, more deliberate scene. Alternatively, in Magnolia, we know that there are at least these 2 shots for the editor to work with. But later in the film, we also see these 2 shots, so we can assume that the editor had their choice of any of these shots to work with in cutting this scene together. The editor here chose to let the entire scene rest on Tom Cruise's medium shot, with the other 2 characters both visible in the frame. And rightfully so. Tom Cruise gives an Oscar-nominated and Golden Globe-winning performance here, but it would have been entirely possible to speed up the pace of the scene by simply cutting to the other characters' reaction shots while he gives his monologue. So the second important component of determining the pacing is the needs of the scene. For example, how many characters have speaking lines? How many people's reactions are important for us to see? What's the tone in the scene? Tense, argumentative, pondering, romantic? And are there any props or environmental details that we need to notice or be constantly tracking? These are all considerations and factors that are going to determine how quickly the scene needs to be paced in order to accomplish its goals. Let's hop back into Magnolia for a moment. In this slow, powerful, and emotional monologue, the audience really needs to know what Tom Cruise's character is feeling. He's the star of the scene, and the entire moment hinges on how he's going to react to seeing his dying father. This scene needs to be all about him. And so the editor made the conscious choice to focus it entirely on Cruise's character, resulting in a slower paced scene with very few cuts. By contrast, in our example from Minority Report, the scene needs to have a bit of a faster pace. The reality of the death of John and Lara's son is a prominent theme for both characters throughout the film. So this close-up of Lara is critical for audiences to understand where she's at emotionally. And these shots of Agatha paint her in a saintly halo as she tells this story that feels ripped from beyond the grave. It's an important reminder that she is still able to insight the future, even while detached from the other fortune tellers in the film. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, I'm sorry. So the point is that no single shot in this scene can tell us the whole story. And so the editor is there to help make sure that audiences are always clued in to what's going on. Now, scenes that are inherently designed to be paced a certain way, whether that's fast or slow, will become kind of like your pacing anchors. You can think of pacing anchors like numbers in an editorial form of the game Sudoku. In the game of Sudoku, every column, every row, and every 3x3 box need to contain the numbers from 1 to 9. Each game you play provides you with a handful of starting numbers already filled in. Because you know that these numbers have to be what they are, just like your anchor scenes inherently need to be fast or slow because they're designed that way, it becomes easier to figure out how to fill in the surrounding materials. Which brings us to the third component that determines pacing, the surrounding scenes. No matter the film, whether it's the slow burn drama of Magnolia or the tense action of Minority Report, a film needs peaks and valleys. Let's hop back into our Minority Report timeline for a moment. At the end of the scene where Agatha tells John and Lara about their late son, John starts to unravel a mystery behind what she's saying. This leads him to make a discovery, and as the tension mounts in the moment, the pacing switches from the slower dramatic scene to a much faster paced thriller moment, as the pre-crime officers descend on the house and race up to the room. Check it out.
Agatha. Just tell me. Who killed your mother? Who killed Anne Lively?
I'm sorry, John. You're gonna have to run again. Run!
Okay.
No.
You're okay. Okay.
No,
You'll be fine with that.
No,
Stay
no.
with me. Stay with me.
John, no.
Don't talk.
You can clearly see on the timeline that the pace of the cuts between these scenes is very different. Even though they are neighboring scenes and even occur in the same location, the pace of each scene needs to have an ebb and a flow to it that keeps things dynamic and interesting. If the whole thing moved at the same pace as the drama scene, then the tense moments wouldn't land as well. And if the whole thing moved at the pace of the tense moments, then the drama wouldn't be as impactful. Coming up in the next lesson, I'm going to go ahead and pass things over to Brian so that he can walk you through a few versions of an edit where we've been experimenting with pacing. All right, I'll see you in a bit. In the last lesson, we learned all about the mechanics of scene pacing and timing, along with how to determine what the pacing should be for each section of your film. Now, let's look at a few scenes from the film that we're editing, Chapman, to see how we can apply some of these concepts. I'm going to pass things over to Brian so he can walk you through a few versions of an edit where we've been experimenting with this pacing.
For our demonstration, we have created 3 sequences using the exact same source footage. Specifically, we'll be working with a number of scenes between 68 and 80, which we've listed in detail below this lesson. Let's take a high-level look at the differences between these 3 sequences. In our first timeline here, the cut runs for nearly 11 minutes. Although this has been edited, it hasn't really been paced out. This has simply been constructed, and while our instincts helped in choosing when and where to cut, it's going to need a lot more work. Now, I'm not going to subject you to watching an 11-minute, poorly edited rough cut. Instead, allow me to give you a brief tour of what's going on in here. In our first scene, Alex arrives in front of a house, having drank too much, and vomits on the lawn. Classic Alex. In the second scene, he arrives at the graveyard, which is still unbeknownst to the audience. We're not sure where he is, but he's very hesitant to proceed. And in this third scene, Alex approaches the grave, gives a short monologue, and the grave is revealed to be none other than his old friend Marie. The coverage here is limited to just a single shot of Alex, the wide shot, and just a small moment of this insert shot of the grave. In the fourth scene, an adult Paul arrives to find Alex at the grave. He invites him to take a ride with him. Alex obliges, and they drive for a very, very long time, with some conversation about their past sprinkled in. Finally, they arrive at the entrance to the Chapman Dam, where Paul gets out, seemingly stranding Alex at the car. In its roughly edited form here, we've got a lot of pacing problems. Some things are too long, like right here where Alex chugs this medicine for an uninterrupted 90 whole seconds. As much as we talked about how the editor made the conscious choice to rest on an unbroken shot of Tom Cruise's monologue in Magnolia, it's important to be aware that this is not Tom Cruise, and drinking this bottle of Pepto-Bismol will not win anyone an Oscar. Oh, and look, he's still drinking even though I've been talking this whole time. And in the back here we have another pretty long shot that seems out of place when taking a high-level view of the timeline. And all throughout, there are plenty of opportunities to make little trims here and there to find just the right timing. Now let's compare this to our next version of the cut. You can immediately see how much shorter this timeline is, and that's because we've made numerous trims to increase the pace throughout. Not only did we simply trim down some shots, we also cut more frequently to other pieces of coverage we had available. For example, this shot in our first cut was originally left unbroken for 90 uninterrupted seconds. But here you can see that we've used our coverage to cut more frequently back and forth, increasing the overall pace of the moment. We've also got more cutaways, like these here, and overall shorter moments, like these here. It's still 9 minutes, but we're basically just doing a good job trimming the fat at this stage, which makes a pretty major difference in the pacing between these 2 iterations. Now I want to show you a third version of the cut, and this time we're down to only 6 minutes, nearly half the length of the original. You'll notice that not only are we cutting just a little bit more frequently here, but we're also employing the technique of entering late and leaving early. It's important to remember here that pacing refers to more than the speed of your cutting and the density of the edits on your timeline. Pacing is also about the speed at which you're delivering the story information to your viewer and how much thinking they need to do to keep up with what's going on. For example, looking at a comparison here between Timeline 2 and Timeline 3, our quote, fastest timeline, you can see that the length of the cuts doesn't get too much shorter. A bit shorter, but not drastic. The big difference is that we made much larger jumps through the story. We didn't simply include all the same shots, but faster, we literally removed big pieces and created new connections between the pieces that remain. Also, going back to our concept of anchor points, we found that we had really only one pivotal section that had to be paced specifically fast or slow. In this case, slow. And that was the moment where Alex was crying at Marie's grave. We'll need to linger there, so the moments before and after should move at a reasonable pace. For example, this scene, which has been problematic from our first draft, shows Alex chugging Pepto-Bismol to down some pills in a long scene where no new information is learned about the character or plot other than what it's going to look like when he goes to the bathroom later. So, we cut that out. All we need to convey is that Alex arrives at the graveyard with hesitation, and we can accomplish that by simply adjusting our cuts a little bit. Let's watch our second version of this and compare it to our third version. Okay, and now let's check out the third version. You can really see the difference here. Things move a lot more quickly. We also wanted to get Alex away from the grave a little faster. We've got this long close-up shot of Alex at Marie's grave, clearly upset. Up until this point in the film, it's been explicitly stated that Alex is going to a funeral.
What are you doing here?
I got a funeral.
But it's only been implied that the deceased is Marie, his childhood crush. This is the first time we really found out for sure that it's her when we see her grave marker. So that's really important, and we need to let that moment play out and have time for his emotions to display on screen. But what's not as important are some of the other time-consuming details, like watching him pick a flower, slowly walk to the grave, slowly bend down, see the grave again. It's not adding much, and it's detracting from time better spent on Alex grieving. So in our third version, we simply removed all the flower shots. This also allows us to move more quickly into Paul's arrival at the graveyard, which is another important story development. So let's take a look at each of these to compare what we did. Let's check out our second version of our timeline.
Hey. I don't know what to say. I don't even know what I'm doing here. I'm really sorry that I couldn't be there for you. I'm really sorry about a lot of things. And, I miss you. I don't know what to say. Okay. Okay.
Long time.
Yeah.
Shouldn't think you would come. Nice suit.
Thanks.
I was hoping you wouldn't come.
How'd she find me?
Wasn't hard. I was thinking we could ride to the reception together. It's not far.
And here's our third version.
Hey. I don't know what to say. I don't even know what I'm doing here. I'm really sorry that I couldn't be there for you. I'm really sorry about a lot of things. And, I miss you. I don't know what to say. Hey.
Long time.
Yeah.
Shouldn't think you would come. Nice suit.
Thanks.
I was hoping you wouldn't come.
How'd she find me?
Wasn't hard. I was thinking we could ride to the reception together. It's not far.
If you get clever with the coverage you have been provided, you can usually come up with some pretty sneaky ways to cut around things that happen in a scene. Additionally, we ended the dialogue between Alex and Paul in the car much earlier in the scene. Even though both actors are giving pretty great performances here, it felt like a stronger ending to let it come to a stop after Alex mentions Paul's marriage to Marie. So let's take a look at the end of the car scene in our second draft so you can see what was removed.
How long's it been? We, 30 now, so it's been about 12 years.
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
Been locksmith in a while. Guess you do.
You have a light.
I saw you guys got married. The picture comes up on the wall. So I guess you're old construction now too, huh?
Whole builders. Pops is still a contractor. I came on as architect.
That's great.
Yeah, well, I had to do something.
Listen, Paul. I there's some things I think we both should.
What? You think we both should what?
And now let's take a look at where we chose to simply end the scene early.
How long's it been? We, 30 now, so it's been about 12 years.
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
Been locksmith in a while.
You have a light.
I saw you guys got married.
We've removed quite a lot of dialogue and time, and yet it doesn't feel like we've lost anything critical to the story. Whether or not the audience hears about Paul's construction business isn't going to change how they feel about the upcoming moment on the dam, and Alex starting to broach the subject of their past issues and Paul avoiding the topic is also a bit contrary to what's about to happen, since Paul is purposely driving him somewhere to confront him on that exact thing. Now, we did change this last green section as well, cutting it shorter and using many of the same techniques we just looked at, such as using more coverage and cutaways, and generally thinking about how to speed up the dead space in between the important story beats. Now, an important note here, especially for newer editors, specifically as it pertains to your relationship with the director and the script. That first draft we created is very much what was written in the script, line for line, action for action. Nothing was left out. And while that doesn't make the best movie, it does make the happiest directors who get a chance to see the entirety of what they shot put into action. It's a lot easier to revise something to be shorter than it is to say, I wonder what's missing here. I'm going to go ahead and play back this final 6-minute version so you can see where we ended up with this section of the film. If you'd rather skip right to the homework, feel free to just jump ahead by about 6 minutes. And if you want to hear something neat about editing, my first draft of the script for this lesson had me making you all watch 11 minutes, and then 9 minutes, and then 6 minutes. So, editing's a pretty good thing. And one last thing I want to mention, you'll see that this first shot has a note about a split screen composite up here at the top. Well, if you bought the pro version of the course, be sure to check out the split screen lesson to learn how to retime your shots using this technique, and then seamlessly blend them together with motion tracking. The techniques we teach in that lesson would apply to this shot almost exactly.
Come on, no, 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 no. What the fuck, man?
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Do it in the plants, jeez.
I'm sorry. Ugh. Hey. I don't know what to say. I don't even know what I'm doing here. I'm really sorry that I couldn't be there for you. I'm really sorry about a lot of things. And, I miss you. I don't know what to say. Hey.
Long time.
Yeah.
Shouldn't think you would come. Nice suit.
Thanks.
I was hoping you wouldn't come.
How'd she find me?
Wasn't hard. I was thinking we could ride to the reception together. It's not far. How long's it been? We, 30 now, so it's been about 12 years.
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
Been locksmith in a while.
You have a light.
I saw you guys got married.
Where?
The reception's here. Paul! Come on, you made your point.
Hey guys, Chris here. So this lesson has some homework. First, check out the PDF below this lesson for the exact scenes that we've edited. As we mentioned in the production realities lesson, sometimes slates are mislabeled on set, and that actually did happen quite a bit here. In the PDF, we laid out the exact shot and take names that you'll need to cut this section of the film so you don't get confused or frustrated. Second, and this is optional, create a line breakdown for scenes 68, 72, 73, 74, and 80. Third, cut these scenes roughly together with very slow pacing. Then, do a pacing pass across your edit to tighten and loosen moments according to the pacing that you feel works best for each story moment. Try pushing the pacing as far as you can in each direction to see where things start to fall apart. Testing the limits is going to help you to understand them. Coming up in the next lesson, we're going to take everything that we've edited and start assembling the full feature on our master timeline. All right, I'll see you in a bit.